What's up, great people, and welcome to this week's edition of the Fabe Effect podcast. I'm your host, Fabe, and I'm excited about the topic this week, but not just excited about the topic. I'm excited because I have a guest host on today, and you're going to be seeing and hearing her periodically throughout the series, but today is her first episode. I'm excited to have her because she gets me. She's like my spirit animal in a sense, and I'm excited for you all to just hear her perspective as well. And the topic is something that I hold dear to my heart, and she does as well. So a lot of times we don't talk about this, and I feel like diving into the conversation will not only allow people to understand what it is, but also understand why those who tend to get into this realm or this ministry, why they get into it, and what the calling really is. So this week's topic is, before I introduce my guests, the topic is, what is a mentor? Mentorship, from advice, the good advice, the bad advice, to knowing how to let people go when it's time to, that season may be up in your life for that person, but just all things mentorship, and just really understanding that it's not just a word or just a title, but it's also a ministry, a calling. So my guest this week is, we call her MIA. I'm gonna let her introduce herself in her own way, but we call her MIA because sometimes you may see her, sometimes you may not see her, but you will feel her, you will understand her. So are you there, MIA?
I am here. I am here. I love the spirit animal.
Awesome. So introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Mia Ferguson. I'm the owner of M Squared Management and Consulting. I've been in this little world we call Earth and the world of business for over 25 years, and I've been really happy to be able to space myself in place with people to support them in the world that you call mentorship. Some people might call it internship. It's a lot of shit that go around with it, but at the end of the day, I'm very excited to discuss this topic.
Awesome. And like she said, a lot of people call it different things, and a lot of people like to just, grab onto this word because it makes you feel like you're important to someone, or it makes you feel like you have a duty to serve in someone else's life, or even if you don't want to necessarily serve, but it makes you feel good in the moment. A lot of times people do it to make them feel good, and I want to start there actually, because one thing I've noticed about people call themselves mentors, or people saying, "Oh, this is my mentor." I always think about, what do you actually mean when you say you're going to mentor someone, or what do you actually think mentoring is before you mentor? I think people don't really think about it. They just think, oh, big brother, big sister. But Mia, I want you to talk about a little about, when you hear the word mentor, what does that mean? What does it mean to be a mentor in the life of Mia? When you're mentoring someone, what does that mean to mentor someone?
I think it changes, to be honest with you, depending on the aspect. I have some young women. I'm a woman who respect the world in which I'm in and just want to be better people, and they see something in me that they like. So that's one, just a living aspect. I have some people who see the things that I do in business. That's another aspect. And when people walk up to me and say, Mia, I want to learn these things, I take it on seriously, and I take it on in a way that hopefully they can get out of what that learned experience looks like. And for me, it's way beyond just a learned experience. It's a life experience. My biggest thing as I've gotten older, I really just want to help people not make the same mistakes I made. I think I walk around with the goal to say,
Right.
if you can just learn it earlier. I always use that Benjamin Button effect. Like, if you could just be born old and grow up to be younger and have those lessons. I know that we've had adults in our lives as we've grown up who say, if you just listen, if you just do this, you just do that. But I try to show people and not just tell people.
Yeah.
So it varies, but my ultimate goal, the reason why I do it, is because I want to pour. That's my ministry. I want to pour into people what they're looking for, to see that excitement that leaves them once they've done whatever it is they decided why they want to be around me, or be embodied in the work that I do, or help them do the work that they want to do. So it all depends.
Yeah, you said a word that stuck out to me, and I want to elaborate on the word pour. A lot of times one thing I've realized that we live in a world of selfishness. You know, most of the world is usually out for themselves. They're trying to get somewhere, elevate self. And that's fine. That's great. No one's knocking that thought or that behavior. However, that means that there are very few of us who are called to the ministry of pouring into other people, who are called to the ministry of mentoring, because it's such a selfless act. And me and Mia was talking earlier, we were trying to save some stuff for the conversation, but we was getting excited earlier about this. But one thing I noticed about myself, and one thing I noticed about those who mentor in this ministry, it's most of the time, it's not something that you're saying, oh, this is what I want to do. It's almost like you have
fall into it.
Yes, it's almost like God, like I tell people all the time, I'm assigned to people. I don't really quickly rush to like call myself someone's mentor if I didn't feel assigned to them. Correct. And God gives me a notion of a push, a nudge, something that indicates I need you in this person's life.
Yeah.
Let me define what I need you to do or how I need you to do it. But the first thing I need you to do is tap in and getting connected with that person. And sometimes I'm like, God, what is this for? Like, you know, I'm already mentoring all these people and doing all this. Why this person? What are you doing? And a lot of times God just be like, shut up.
Right. Not only shut up, but a lot of times you're going to learn a lesson in that space too.
Yeah, right? That's so true. Yeah. That's so true. Yeah. That's so true. You're really, and I tell my mentees all the time, like there are certain mentees that you not only helped, but they helped you. Mm-hmm. And God was calling you to each other in the form of a mentor, because a lot of times mentors don't really have mentors.
Right.
Or our mentors are very limited and small in number. I know with me, if I'm being so honest, truly honest, there's only one person that I call mentor. One, because a lot of times, and this is another thing a lot of people don't understand about mentorship, many times you're getting your help and you're getting your advice, you're getting your guidance from a spiritual realm. You're not really getting it from someone else, because if you're called to mentor someone, and mentorship is something that you do heavily, it's very hard to get advice as you give it, or it's very hard to like follow. You know, if you follow a regimen and you think this is important, you may take some advice from someone else and use it, but you're not necessarily in real time being mentored.
Absolutely.
One person I call mentor on this earth. Shout out to Miss Danielle Whitted. She's amazing. But there's not a lot of people I call mentor, and it's not because I think they're not good mentors. I don't think I can learn from them, but it's mainly because I'm so used to being in that role that it's sometimes hard to take a break. And this may be, you know, give myself some advice in this moment. Take a break and get some mentoring
and absorb it,
you know, and going back into the mentor realm. So it's not something that I intentionally do, but it's something that I just realized that I don't really have a lot of mentors myself, because I know that it's something that, you know, God has called me to. And when it comes to like mentors, do you have mentors? How do you look at mentorship in terms of when you needed a mentor?
So it varies. So when I look, and it's funny because I was just thinking about this on my way on my flight back home a few days ago. Nowadays we use that word mentor. Back in the day we would use the word elder. Mm-hmm. And we don't really hear a lot of people talking about sitting at the elder's feet anymore, right? So where you have a mentor nowadays, which is someone who really guides you, what I've noticed that I've done throughout my life is I've always sat around my elders and I've picked up on a lot of things. Mm. So I recently told someone in a conversation that I felt like not just in a business space, but in a life space, that a lot of my women, my elders, they've passed, right? They've gone on, and I know they're guiding me even more in that realm. But when I look at who I am now, I notice that I cling to the people who, and this is the funny thing. This is the beautiful thing, not funny. They're not always older than me, but they have experience in other things that I might not have experience in.
Yes.
Right. So right now, I'm working on a project where the young lady who is phenomenal, she's literally like 12 or 13 years younger than me, but her experience in the world that I'm getting into is way more than my experience by right. And so I won't necessarily say mentor, because I think that for me right now in the stage where I am, I have so many, like you said, younger people who are looking to me to support and guide them. But what I also have recognized is that God is definitely aligning me with people whom I can be in the rooms with to learn things that I haven't learned, to kind of complete that circle, if that makes sense. So where I've had some dots, right? I've had a lot of dots, and I picked up all my dots, and I've read around through my dots, and now my dots are starting to create a picture. And so that's where I am right now in my life. I think I'm like you. Like I said, I'm more in the probably being called a mentor, and then I'm being led by many people in different spaces, which feels really good. It feels really good because, like you said, God just puts you where you need to be if you pay attention to it.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
He does, and I think it is important for mentors to have mentors, and I feel like that a lot of times you get caught in mentoring that you don't take a break and get yourself refilled and re-energized. So it is important to have, even if it's not a mentor, an accountability partner.
Yes, yes.
That's what I would call you. As an accountability partner. You know, accountability partner. You make sure, like, okay, hey, these are things you said you wanted to do. I know before I even started the podcast, I was saying that, I'm about to start this podcast. And Mia, within the weeks of us being like in a personal relationship, we've known each other through business and through friends, but within weeks, y'all, of being in a personal relationship, she was like, hey, you said you were starting your podcast. Where we at? Where you at? And so those people are just as important as mentors because they hold you accountable. Because sometimes you can get caught up in mentoring and you get caught up in so many other people's life that you forget yours. You stop doing what you love to do, what you set goals you set for yourself. So you want to have those people that hold you accountable. That hold you accountable to what you said to yourself, because a lot of times we can make promises to ourselves, and the easiest person to break a promise to is yourself. And you're like, well, I'll get to it later.
All the time.
No,
leave myself alone.
Yeah, just to have those people that you can have. So now I want to transition into the topic of mentees and how you can, get so indulged in the life of your mentees, and you their dreams and their goals are so exciting to you because you like to see people win. You like to see people, accomplish things. However, let's go right there. However, there are times where mentee seasons end.
Yes, sir.
In your life, and where do you get that discernment? Where do you get that? Where do you get that wake up call to say, okay, you know what? I love this person. I think that they're great, and I still want them to see them win. However, I think this next stop is my stop.
Right.
And I think I've contributed all I can contribute to you as a person. I'm still rooting for you. I still wholeheartedly want to see you win.
Yes.
But you winning, if you winning is breaking me.
Driving me crazy. Driving me all the way crazy.
I can't let myself lose to see you win.
Absolutely. That is something, and I have to say, I feel like I have been browbeaten in learning that lesson.
you ain't by yourself.
I have been abused. Wow. I've been browbeaten because I think so it's twofold. So it took a long time and I say a long time, for the human Mia to learn that lesson.
Yeah.
It didn't take as long for the business Mia to learn that lesson. So the beautiful part about what I do is that my support most times comes in the business space.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've adopted in my business space, I can't want it more than you do.
Yes.
I can't
Write that down, people. You
I
can't
can't do more. I can't do more than what you do.
come on.
Another one of my favorite ones is those who can't hear must feel. I can't be emotionally connected to your outcome.
Mm.
And my last one, and this is the one that really just kind of takes me over it. Long gone are the days those who are less qualified make decisions of the more qualified. So when I see someone who says they want A, but they want to skip over A, no. Rewind. They want Z,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't want to go from A, B. They don't want to go through A, B, and C. They want to
Mm-hmm.
jump to. They want to jump to like W, and then when they get to W, they want to understand how come they're so close to Z, but can't get there. But the lesson to get you there was at B. And I keep trying to get you to understand that you have to have those building blocks. When
Mm-hmm.
they don't get it, I have to gracefully bow out. And I've what about the part has been, how do I gracefully bow out? How do I let you know that I'm here for you whenever you need me? But I can't journey this with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard. It's hard because
It's
again, the
very
human
hard.
Mia, yeah, the human Mia wants you to win, right? But the business Mia is like, listen, this is not going to work out in the betterment. And I've watched so many people lose so much money not wanting to learn the lessons. I watched so many people burn bridges in relationships not wanting to learn the lessons. I've watched so many people get distracted not learning the lessons. And it's hard to sit back and watch sometimes. It really is. But I pride myself on being able to have that divided line. There's no gray with me. So that's a personality trait, I think. But when they come and they're like, okay, Mia, listen, I done learned these lessons, I done figured this out, I'm ready. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go. I don't hold anything against them. It's not a I told you so. It's a sometimes you have to learn the lessons your way. And that took me a long time. It probably, if I've been doing this since I was in my late 20s and I'm 46 now, it took me probably like 34, 36 to realize that. It took a little while, but once I've learned it, I learned it. I got it.
Yeah, it took me a long time. It took me a lot of heartache. I would say definitely have been in depression because of it. Because I'm one of those people that, you know, I do a lot of things intentionally. You know, I feel like my heart is good, and so because my heart is good and my heart is big, a lot of times I just want to help. I just want to help. One thing I had to admit to myself through this journey of knowing when to let go is I had to admit to myself that I like being needed.
Mm.
I like the feeling of being needed. And it took me a minute to figure it out because, some people will say like, what do you mean you like feeling needed? That's just the honest truth. I like feeling needed. I like feeling like, oh, Fabe can get it done. Fabe, has the connections, whatever. And so I think that a lot of mentors like feeling needed. That's like kind of the root of the kind of the beating we take. Because
I wouldn't say mine is the feeling of being needed. I love watching the person. I like watching them win.
Yeah.
I definitely get very excited watching them win. It's like you did it, like you got through it, you made it. I wouldn't say, and I don't know, I don't.
And that's definitely the icing on the cake. I don't want you to ever think that that's my whole purpose of like the whole journey we're taking.
The whole journey.
Is see you win. I'm never looking for the shine, but it's one thing. The reason I say like feeling needy because there's a hole that it feels when I feel like I helped somebody and my input or my advice or my 2 cents meant something. Something
I
so much
understand that.
so that the results changed. The results, positive because I was in it. So when I say feeling needed,
Yeah.
instead of you kind of get when you want to feel needed, it sometimes you can get so lost in
All the things.
knowing who to trust, knowing how to trust, because you so freely give yourself. So
yeah.
and then you surprised or you're shocked when somebody's using you.
Yo, yeah.
Because they peeped that you like being needed. So what did they do? Make you feel needed. Like, oh, if you're gonna get it done, get it done.
Well, go ahead and do it then.
Yeah, yeah. And so, but in that, you're not realizing that's where the relationship stopped and ended for them.
You know what's so funny when you say that, because there was a young lady, and she met me through business, and she was just like, I want to learn how to do the things you do. You just your mind, you do these things, blah 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 blah. And so I walked her through how to do it. She wanted to have an event, and when she started, I said, okay, so walk me through your schedule. I'm just trying to help her mind map, right? I'm like, walk me through your schedule. What does your day look like? She's like, well, the event starts at 2. I'm gonna get here at 11. I said, you can't do that. You got to show up. I said, it takes more than this to make these things happen. So I really tried to help her through that mindset, right? The day comes for her event, and she said, and it was the cutest thing, bless her heart. She said, well, Mia, I just want to be the one who tells people what to do. I said, do you know how long it took me to get there? Do you know how long it took me to get to a space where I could be the one to call on the teams, whether it be me having great relationships to get the things done that had a financial aspect to it, whether it had a skill set to it and I knew who I could call, whether it was the labor intensive spaces where I knew who I could depend on, whatever it was, it took a long time for me to get there, but I had to honor that time. You can't hop in this a year in and just say, oh, I just want to be able to wave my magic wand and all these things are going to just happen. It doesn't work that way. And I think that's another part of it that people don't really see. When we talk about mentorship, right? We talk about, they see who Fabe is. They're like, oh my goodness, he's this great man. He's a man of God. He's active in his community. People love him, but they don't know the journey. They don't know the part of you that helped you get to how you are this person that they want to be. Right. And so I learned a lot of times they need to learn your story. They need to learn, like, I did these types of things when I was 13, 14 years old. You're doing it now in your 30s, right? So my journey started way earlier.
Yeah.
And so that's a really important part because people have a misconception about that.
They do. And I think that the misconception is definitely they see you one way and they don't know the insides and the workings and the behind the scenes version of you. And then when they get to know that version of you, they can, the flip side about the thing is their view of you can change or enhance. It can be changed for the negative or the positive, according to what you choose to show them. And that's another line in mentorship that I had to learn and realize that, everyone is not your mentee. You can't treat everyone like they're your mentee. You can't treat everyone like they're inside, because everyone's not inside, because you wake up and you realize you have all these people inside everywhere. But how many can you really call on when you're in need?
Yep. And a step further from that, how many times is it your fault that what they wanted didn't happen?
Yes.
And you looking like, well, wait a minute, what just happened? This whole thing just flipped. I've been there before. I've been in that space so many times.
That's especially when that's that space of people, like you said, wanting you to do something for them, and if it don't get done how they want it to get done, you go from being the mentor to it's your fault.
Oh, it's your fault. Oh, it's your fault. You plot. Oh, listen. Most recently, somebody in their emotional rant said to me and the team that I was supporting with them, oh, we plotted against her. And I said, oh, wow. Folks jumped up out their professional space, came down to support you on something that everybody said, this is not the right way to do certain things. Tried to catch all the balls so they wouldn't fall on you. And then at the end of the day, when 5 out of 10 things, 8 of those things went well and 2 went wrong, and it's everyone else's fault but yours. And then how do you get through that in a human space where you want to just blow and just scream and say, but it's one of those I told you so moments, but that's not what the moment calls for. The moment calls for, I recognize that I was here to help you understand how to gracefully move through these difficult spaces in business. Because it ain't always pretty.
Yeah. And so what would you say? And I'll share mine first before you share. When it comes to like knowing when to let someone go, one thing I'm big on is respect.
Yes.
That's the ground level for me. Respect. If I feel like you don't respect me, it's very hard for me to, knock down the human side of me and tap into spiritual. Because disrespect is something that I feel is not called for. It's not needed. You don't have to disrespect someone. Even if you're upset with them, you don't have to disrespect them. So respect is my ground level. And so once I feel disrespected, my notch already starts to go down.
1,000%.
I may not respond in a dramatic way because I've gotten to a certain age that this is not the response I choose. But I took a mental note, and I've somewhat lost a little respect for you.
Oh yeah.
Because
the devaluing.
Yeah, because one thing I'm big on is I will not be your punching bag.
Right.
I will be here for you to get through those tough times, and I will be an outlet. I will be an ear. You can vent to me, but I will not be your punching bag. And what do you mean by punching bag, Fabe? What I mean is, as your mentor, you would not take out your anger and all your issues with yourself on me. Because you got issues with yourself, things you are hiding from yourself, things that you are, dealing with mentally, spiritually, physically with yourself. We can talk about those things, and we can definitely go through some steps to getting better, but I will not be what you let it out on.
For sure.
Because I think a lot of times, so that's really my like making or breaking moment now. At first, I've had moments where I've been disrespected, and I'm like, you know what, they're young. I just gotta, make sure, and this is what I signed up for. But no, I didn't sign up for it.
No, you didn't.
And I refuse for you to, use me in that way. I refuse. I will gracefully bow out.
Gracefully bow out.
And let
with grace.
And let you do you. And I may not even like address you about bowing out. I may just bow out. I'm not gonna ghost you, but you're gonna feel it.
You're gonna feel that you're gonna feel my absence.
Because,
I think
go ahead.
I think so where yours is disrespect, what I think is the most disrespectful thing is an insult of my intelligence.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know if it's a Leo thing. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's how my parents raised me, but very few
Cancers and Leos be connected.
Yeah, we would like that. Listen, one of the same.
We got a lot of similarities.
One of the same, yes. And I think for me, I've learned, and this has been me all my life, I don't speak on something I don't know about.
Yeah.
So if I speak on it or I give my advice on it, I'm not saying it because it's how I feel. I'm saying it because I can show you where the information is. Yeah. And a lot of times before I even speak on it, I'm just going to give you the information. It's up for you to read it. But when people try to challenge, not me, but the information, and it's based off of what they think and not what they know, and it becomes a real repetitive thing. And I haven't really gone through that in the whole mentor-mentee space, more so just in the professional space. That does bother me, because I always say to people, if you know it, then why are you asking me the question?
Yeah.
Right. If you know, then why are you asking me? but then those are the same ones that when you turn around, they're doing exactly what you told them to do. And it's like, okay, so for me, I always say those are the people who grew up in the right and wrong family. I didn't grow up in a right and wrong household. So my parents, it was never about what was right and what was wrong. It was about, well, Mia, what do you think? And then we always went to the reference, right? My parents always taught me to reference the information.
Yeah, so
So
you're a fact person. You're a fact.
I'm a fact all day.
Fact
I'm a
over
fact
feeling.
all day. Fact all day. Fact over feelings all day. I die for it. That's how I'm going to put that on my tombstone. Okay, because that's where I am. Fact over feelings all day, and I don't get into the feeling part. So to me, when you begin to do that to me, that is disrespectful to me, because I think different ways of disrespect are going to come.
Yeah.
But when I'm in this space for you and I'm giving you information for you, and you brought me in because you see the value that I have, and you begin to just question everything, I say, you know what, this is not the space for me.
Yeah.
Not because they're telling me that I'm not right, because it's not about me being right. It's just that you don't value my space of expertise, and I value you in the space where you don't really know.
Yeah.
So when we begin to devalue each other, that's where I just say, okay.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Devaluing. I think that
Yeah.
people do look at because most of the time mentors are people of value, people who, they say don't mentor something, don't get advice from somebody who hasn't done it or don't know what
Yeah.
they're talking about. So if I'm choosing to speak, if I want to speak on it, 9 times out of 10, I've been through it. I've closely watched it happen in someone else's life.
Yep.
Or I'm going through it in the current moment.
Absolutely.
I'm not just out here just like, oh, I'm just giving advice to hear myself talk. And people will always say, well, Fabe, you do talk a lot. Yeah, I talk a lot, but I promise you, if I'm talking about it,
I know about it.
I know about it. It's not something I'm just talking about to make you feel like I know something. Like I said, I like feeling needed, but there has to be a need. One thing I'm not saying when I say feeling needed, I'm not creating needs. That's not what I'm not setting this up. Let me set this up so this person can reach out to me. No, because if the faith in me would rather you not reach out to me.
Right.
I'm probably doing XYZ for A, B, and C.
Yes.
But if God led you there and God spiritually aligned us, I'm gonna need you to trust God in the advice too, because most of the time, 99% of the time, it's Him speaking through me. It's not me really speaking to you about it. But I think that a lot of times, like I said, people use the word mentorship lightly, use mentoring lightly, and they just throw it around to make themselves feel like, oh yeah, I've graduated to being a mentor. I gave somebody advice. But when you realize the reason it's so important, the reason it's such a ministry, because you don't realize how you, and this is heavy, but it's real, you can change the trajectory of somebody's life.
Oh, yes.
Positively or negatively.
Yes.
So that's why you think it's so serious, because you think, oh, this ain't nothing. I'm just, helping them do this. Like if we go into the celebrity realm, we've heard a lot of, stories and rumors about celebrities and who their mentor was. And then we look at them now and we say like, dang, what's going on with them?
But you know what? But take that even a step further. I was watching an interview. I think it was Pharrell. It wasn't an interview, it was like a clip. And Pharrell was thanking a gentleman who you wouldn't recognize his face. He's not somebody in the industry, but he said, this man poured into me when no one else would.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for this man, there would be no Neptunes, there would be no Pharrell, there would be no who I am. And he not just poured into him financially, he poured into him mentally and supported him in that space. And so you're absolutely right. And I can think of people who have come to me. I get messages all the time, but it just lightens my heart, of people saying thank you for just having a conversation with me, or thank you, your words really moved me, or you having somebody at that moment in time believe in me and just took the time to have a conversation. It changed where I was. And you are so right, because when you hear those stories about all these successful people, they always talk about that one person who believed in them.
Yeah. And
they always talk about that one person.
And you were talking about having those calls and texts, birthdays. I use a lot of times people hit you a birthday, and I had my birthday was this past Saturday, and I had one of my brothers hit me up, and my fraternity brothers, and this is one of the actual brothers that I pledged when I was in college, so he was immediately following me in terms of the ranks of alpha. So he was like the following line, or one of the following lines, and he hit me up to say happy birthday, and he said something that really had to. He said it to me before, but what God, when you at the verge of like giving up on that kind of this working, because one thing about mentors, we quit a lot. We say in our heads, "Oh, I'm done. I'm not doing this no more. I'm not
I ain't doing this no more."
Yeah, I'm not. Go the other way. I don't want to hear about nobody. Don't tell me about your cousin.
Don't call me.
Tell me about your little brother. I don't want to. But and so in the midst of that, me going through that currently, God, He do it every time. He'll send me something to say, this is why I called you. This is why, although it's hard, although it's difficult, although you're tired, you must keep going. And he told me, he said, you were the first person. You're the man. And this is, mind you, when we were close in proximity and in our friendship and our relationship, we were both in college. So I'm only a year older than this person.
Right.
A year, maybe two, but I think it's like a year and some change. And he said that, you're the reason I became a man. You're the person that made me want to be a better man, made me want to be a man. You showed me what a man was. And I was like thinking in my head, like I was only 20 years old. I was only 21 years old when this happened. And that's when I instantly, like, it was all God, first of all. It wasn't me, it was all God. But in that space when he said it, it was like whatever I did in that time, because now he's a successful supply chain in supply chain management. He just opened a coffee shop in Texas. So like, this is a young man who has went and like done great things. And for him to tell me that I'm the reason he know what a man is, it's a lot of weight to put on someone. But it made me realize that in this work, you cannot take it lightly, because you can be changing the trajectory of someone's life and where they end up, negatively or positively. So I think a lot of times when people say, I have my friends who say like, "Fabe, why are you so dedicated to? Why you care so much? Why do you care about these young so and so? Why, you letting these folks hurt your feelings and all that stuff." And it's moments like this where I say like, what? Yes, it's a big sacrifice, and yes, I'm tired. Like I get annoyed, but it's something that I must do because I know it's my calling.
Yep.
Because in the midst of all that hurt, in the midst of all that pain, in the midst of all those disappointments, God has still blessed me immensely. I've never went hungry. I've never been without. My bills are paid. So it's a sacrifice, but God sustains you through that sacrifice. When you decide to accept his calling or accept what he called you to do in life, you got to trust that it may not always seem or feel like or look like that it's going the right way, but he is sustaining you. He's going to make sure you're taken care of, because guess what you're doing? Taking care of his children while on this side of earth, and acknowledging that it's nothing that you've done or no power that you have, but it's all him.
All him.
And you're just a vessel.
Yep.
So as a mentor, I think that we are truly vessels, and we're truly pieces of God on earth saying, hey, turn that way. You about to go that way. Go this way.
It's
not me. That's not me saying do that because I know better. No, I'm really just listening to God say, hey, stop that.
Stop that. Nope. Go right there. Yep.
And so it's so real. So as we close, because we can talk all day about this topic,
all day.
I want you to close and just talk about what is one piece of advice that you've been given or that you've always consistently given to your mentees that you can share with our listeners.
To practice the pause. Practice the pause. and one that took me a long time to learn is that sometimes it's best if you just listen.
Yeah.
Just listen, practice the pause, because a lot of times what you're looking for, it's right there. But you can't see it, you can't hear it because you're not listening. And I've learned, I relearned that lesson a lot in different dynamics, right? I could say over the last 2-3 years, a lot of times I would just have to remind myself, Mia, just listen. Just listen. Just listen, because what you're looking for, it's there. It's there. And then at the same token, just listen. And I know this is more than one thing, but be okay to ask.
Yes,
Be okay to
that
ask.
pride is something serious, and I
That thing is
I tell my
serious.
mentees all the time, and those who I'm talking to know I'm talking to them. That pride thing will find you in a cycle, a roundabout merry-go-round,
Confusion.
repeating acts because you're so proud that you don't want to ask.
Yep.
And sometimes I'll act like I don't know just so you can ask.
Just so you can ask.
You need to be comfortable asking. None of us can do all of this alone.
Yep.
None of us.
None of it.
So if you are so prideful that you don't trust no one enough to ask for help, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck. You're gonna be out there.
Yeah. Yeah, for
going
sure.
through unnecessary stuff, going through stuff that you can avoid. I feel like once you give somebody the title of mentor, you ask somebody to help you, like you said before earlier today, I'm trying to get you not to make the mistakes I've made. One thing I'm very transparent about is I didn't graduate in 4 years. I graduated in 5.5 years. And I was one of those students that was Mr. Everything at Clark Atlanta. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to help everybody. My grades suffered because of that. And you're Greek, you're a leader, all this going, college can be this own little world that you don't realize that ain't the real world. And so you get caught up in it. And so when I transitioned to being an employee at Clark Atlanta University, my first order of business was make sure that all these people, make sure that people that are calling me mentor or looking to me for advice, that they know your academics is number one.
Right.
You are here to get a degree. And if that focus or that thought starts to fade, you need to realign, reprioritize, and change the order. And yes, people can say, well, Fabe, you didn't graduate in 4 years. My point exactly. I'm not speaking from a place of hierarchy. I'm speaking from a place that I was down. I was that person that you don't want to be.
Right.
I was him.
Right.
So because I was him, I want to make sure you're not him.
Right.
So it's definitely so true that you have to, not only be an example, but make sure that the things that you did wrong, that they know you did wrong. Transparency is so good, so needed in mentorship. Know that you messed up, you had a mistake, because now they know that you're human, that you're no different than them. But also, you don't have to make that mistake. So open your mouth.
Yeah, for sure. Like that.
Open your mouth.
Open your mouth.
Yeah.
It's such a contradiction. Open your mouth and keep it closed too.
And I love how you said the pause, because a lot of times we get to go and we don't pause, but it's so much gold in that pause.
There's so much gold in that pause, man.
Because once you become so good that you can't listen. When they say, I love to see the student become the teacher. I love that phrase, but I want to alter that a little bit. I feel like there is a moment where the student becomes the teacher, but the student never stops being a student.
And that's that. So come on now, because when I tell people I read 4 books a month. I wish I was able.
Boy, you are so great. Y'all book readers, all the book readers out there.
Baby, let me tell you something. But no. See, here we go. Real person. I'm a real person. I buy the book because I'm old school, but I listen to it.
Yeah. See, that's me. That's my.
It's nothing wrong with that.
I don't got no audio book. Everybody got one, but those that got one.
This is true. But oh man, that's a whole nother conversation. But I am definitely always a student. I listen to a webinar a week. I get 4 books a month. I call and I have very enlightening conversation. I do all of those things because I'm always wanting to pour into myself so that I can continue to pour.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. That's really what it is because, you know, what do they say? God put us on this earth to do what? Love one another. That's how I love.
Yeah.
That's how I love. I love with the hopes of seeing the joy that comes from the things that you want to do. And if I can help you, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for.
Definitely. And on that note, I want to close right there with that advice, you all. There's power in the pause. So when your mentorship is talking your head off and you like, but I know what I'm doing. Sometimes you just need to listen. And even after you listen, sometimes you just need to just take that what you heard and walk off and go sleep on it. Everything calls for a response. Make sure that you know when it's time to let go. Those mentors out there, you know when it's time for you to let go. And I know it's hard to let go of those people, but you have to be okay with letting go because some people are putting your life for a season. There are only a few that's in there for a lifetime, and so you can't get confuse those seasonal folks with your lifetime expectancy. So make sure you know when it's time to like, okay, let me let you go. And take mentorship seriously. And it's okay not to be a mentor. No, we're not sitting here recruiting a mentor. Like, you need to be a mentor.
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody. And it's okay if it's not for you. And it's okay to tell somebody, you know what? I know some people. I'm not the person, but I can connect you with some people. And that's
I'm big on that.
Yeah, it's not always you. That's something I learned in my recent years. It's not always going to be me. But guess what? I know somebody. I can connect you with this person. I can connect you with this person. Because at the end of the day, if you winning is the priority, and that's what we focused on, whatever we got to do, whoever we got to connect to that's in the right, spiritual realm, we going to connect to them. And I'm not going to, hold my mentee hostage or to be territorial. No, because if I'm here to help you, I'm going to help you by anything necessary. And it may not necessarily be me that's doing the physical help. It may be a relationship that I have that's helping you. So those things
that needs to be the next one, Fabe. That needs to be the next one. Dot connectors.
Because you that too. You that too.
Listen, I believe in being a dot connector.
You are a dot connector. You hear me? You are a dot. You are the dots. You are the dots. But
oh my God.
Thank you all so much for having us on your podcast and on your YouTube channel, wherever you're viewing this podcast and listening to this podcast. One thing I want to leave you all with is remember your why and let that be what motivates you each day. Remember your why. Let that be what most motivates you each day. Thank you, Mia, for being here. MIA is going to be here throughout the series, you all. When she pops in, you know it's going to be good conversation. She really was being good today. She really was being good because this is a topic. We going to get a little ignorant too. So.
Yeah, I think when I pull up on you and we face to face, that's what we're really gonna cut a fool.
We're gonna really be a little ignorant too. So I'm excited about that. So thank you all once again. This week's topic was what is a mentor? And I think we really broke it down for you all. It's such a good space to be in, but it's not something you take lightly. I always remember that we tap in on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on Eastern Time, wherever you listen to your podcast. Also on YouTube. My YouTube channel is The Fabe Effect. Follow me on Instagram too at The Fabe Effect. That's AFFECT, Effect, not Effect. And also, just be excited about what's to come. The next episode is just as great as this one. Thank you so much. And remember, the best leader works to make even better leaders.